Hi, in today's video I'm going to show you how to build the ST terminal with w3m image support. Now what I'll do is I'll switch across to the ST terminal and show you what I mean. I'm going to open up a article in w3m, and what I'm doing here is I'm just hitting a little hotkey to clean up the content. Okay, basically what I did there was just run a hotkey that flips the content into a form that's nicer to view at w3m, and I covered that in a previous video. But the main thing is we've got the image displayed here and it's not flickering, and the reason for that is it's a bug with the way that w3m draws images in the terminal, that they can sort of be overwritten, and it sort of flickers. The sort of buffer overwrites it, and there's a fix that you can apply to the ST terminal that actually stops that happening. So what I'm going to do is actually show you how to build the ST terminal so you can view images from w3m without flickering. So what I'll do is I'll come across to my notes here, and what we're going to do is first of all clone the repository with git clone https://git.suckless.org/st. So I didn't build the ST terminal with support for zooming, or I can't remember the keyboard shortcut. What I'm going to do is clone the repository, and then change into the ST directory. And what I'm going to do now is actually create a new branch. So what I'm going to do is create a new git branch where we're going to make our changes, and then what we'll do is merge the changes back into the main branch. So git checkout -b patch, and what that does is it says git checkout, create a new branch called patch and switch to it. So git checkout the patch, and you can now see in the top right hand corner I'm in the patch version of this project, basically, instead of the main. So what we'll do now is come across to this, and what we need to do is actually make some changes. So first of all, what we're going to be doing is editing the config.mk file, and what you'll see here is two variables, x11 inc and x11 lib, and at least on Ubuntu these paths are incorrect, they don't exist. So what you need to do is first of all you need to change these two paths. So we just change this to local and this one to local. Okay, so that's what we need to change in the config.mk file for it to build. And next we're going to edit the config.def.h and change the font. So config.def.h, and what I'm doing is I'm using the Inconsolata font. So what I'm going to do is copy this bit of code across here, delete the other one, and the static int border pix I believe is the padding, internal padding between the characters and the edge of the screen. So it's not actually a border, it's actually internal padding. So if you set it to 0, your text in the terminal will be right up against the edge of the screen. So you might want to leave it a default of 2 or add 4 or more if you like more padding. So that's changing the font. And what we need to do next is actually change the shell. So if you come down here, let me increase this up here a bit. So what you'll see here, static char shell equals bin sh. So basically the SD terminal has the shell that's going to run hard coded in it. So we basically want to change that to the shell we're going to use. Bin sh on Linux, a symlink to the dash shell. It's a POSIX client shell, but we're probably going to be using something like the ZSH shell. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that to user local bin sh, and you can find the location of your shell by running where is ZSH, for instance, and it's going to tell you user bin ZSH. So what we're going to do, user local, for some reason I had that down as user local bin sh. Let me just double check that. User bin sh. Let me just check my my sort of build just to make sure that's correct. I think I may have made these notes on FreeBSD originally. So let me just check. Get some of this. Terminal. Yeah, user bin sh. So that was on FreeBSD. It has a different install location. So we're going to change the shell to user bin sh. User bin h. And you can see that's a nice feature of Emacs there. It's actually showing me the correct path in the document was the sh. So that's changing the shell, which is really important. And the next thing we're going to do is actually change the mouse pointer. So by default, it's some weird kind of pointer. I can't remember if it's an X or something, but something like that. But we're going to change it to a more regular mouse pointer. So mouse, you can see here, mouse shape. What we're going to do is change that to a regular cursor. Okay, so that's the mouse shape. Next thing I'm going to do is actually change the color. So what I'm doing is my SD terminal's got a solarized theme. So what I did was basically copy the solarized color scheme from a patch. So find the color scheme. Color name. So what I'm going to do is just remove this whole section down here, in between the braces, this section here, and add the solarized color scheme bit here. Paste that in. So that's the color. And just working on now, we're going to get to the w3m image support. So this is a patch. If I come across here, we come right down bottom, the w3m images, and if you have a look at the diff, basically what it's doing is it's just editing the x.c file, and it's just adding these 2 lines of code here. And basically what this does is in the FAQ there's a patch that allows w3m images to work, but what it does is it disables double buffering. You can read about this here, and basically what this patch does is instead of cancelling the double buffer, it copies the front buffer to the back buffer. But basically it's just only 2 lines of code to get this working. So what we're going to do is come back across here, and what we need to do is edit the x.c file. So we're done with that for the moment. So I'm going to come down here to the x.c file, and we're going to do search for the start draw. Okay, so this is the section here. So what we're just going to do is just copy this chunk of code bit here and add that above the return statement. So we're just adding these 2 lines here to the x.c file. So once we've done that, we can close that out and switch back here. So that's pretty much everything we're going to do. Obviously, if you're going to apply your own patches, you could do that. You can make any other changes you want, but that's just some basic stuff, setting up the font, changing the shell, the mouse pointer, setting a color scheme, and adding w3m image support. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to commit those changes and then merge them back into the main branch. So if I switch back to here, we can see we're in the patch branch. So git commit a and st build. Okay, and I haven't set this up with a remote repository. Like, I haven't set this particular setup to push to GitHub, anything else like that. But I have got this set up on GitHub, but I'm just demoing how to do this from scratch. So what we need to do now is check out the master branch. So we're in the patch branch, so we'll git checkout master. You can now see we're in the master branch, and what we then do is merge the changes back into the master branch. So git merge patch, I believe it is. So let me just double check my notes, which I'll sort of try and clean up. So merge the changes, git checkout master, git merge patch. Okay, so git merge patch. Okay, and you can see here it's showing the changes that we've made and deletions. So that's everything built. The next step would be to run sudo make clean install, and obviously I've already installed st, so I'm not going to run that. But the next issue that we want to cover is thinking a desktop entry. So if I type st terminal, you can see down here st terminal. I can launch it from Rofi or whatever application launcher I was using. So that's what I'm going to cover, is creating the desktop entry. So what we do is create a file like this, desktop entry type application, name st. You could call it st terminal or something. Comment. You have the icon executes st and the category. And basically all you do is you create that in a text file called st.desktop, and then copy st.desktop to .local share applications. So if I come across to the terminal, the ls local share applications, this is where all your desktop files or launchers will be installed for your user account. So that's the st.desktop file that we created. So that basically means that you'll be able to launch the ST terminal using your application launcher, whether it's dmenu. Dmenu doesn't require desktop files, it's just application launchers like Rofi that do. The other thing in my notes here is that you can actually also create a patch from all the changes that you've made in your patch branch and save it as a diff file. So what that means is that you can basically have a diff file that you can just apply to a download of ST, and it will have all your changes in it, so you don't have to keep going through and doing it manually. And I made some notes here which I'll clean up about how you actually apply the patch, how you can check out the master branch, and also how you can, when you want to do an update, how you do an update and keep your changes. So that's some of the notes I made about setting up the ST terminal. And basically what I'll do is I'll show you again this working. If I just come across find some sort of random articles that I'll open in w3m. Okay, so as I showed you in a previous video, if I click a hotkey, it will strip all that stuff out and just give me the article using the Python readability XML library. And as you can see here, it's displaying all the images, and although as I move the cursor over them, you're going to see the actual line, we're not getting the flickering issue. So you can see all these images show up. So this was quite a good example of something to show. So what I'll do is I'll just quit that, and what I'll do is I'll just briefly show you how it looks by default. By default, when you open something in w3m, it's going to look like this with all the links. And you've got to scroll all the way down here, get the stuff, and you can see how we've got the search stuff and all this crap here. Just by hitting a hotkey and transform that nice, easy to read article. And now I've got the image support with the ST terminal. So that was the goal of this exercise, is getting the ST terminal to display images. And come back here to the ST terminal, and this is the patch that we're using. You could apply the patch yourself, or I just copied the code to make things simpler. But in a previous video I discussed what the issue with the URXVT browser is. If I open URXVT, which I've got set to, actually I haven't changed the settings, it's still it's set to bitmap font. So if I open, see how URXVT is actually working with the images without flickering, and that's because I've set it to use bitmap fonts instead of XFT fonts, as I was demoing in a previous video. The issue with URXVT is if you use XFT fonts with anti-aliasing, that's what causes the flickering in the images. But if you use a bitmap font, you don't get that issue, but you can see the text looks terrible. So I just wanted to show you what the issue with URXVT was, why you get the flickering in that particular terminal. And the reason I'm using the ST terminal is because I was going to have a look at Alacrity or Alacrity, but it's not actually in the Ubuntu 2004 repositories. And I have tried it before and didn't like the YAML configuration file. And also I found that when you started it up, it had like a hell of a lot of CPU usage, like 8-10% or something ridiculous just starting the terminal. So that's why I used the ST terminal and switched from using URXVT. The other thing that I was going to briefly cover is using the ST terminal with Xmonad, and how you can have a scratchpad. So you can see here I have a drop down, a terminal I can open and close with a hotkey. I'll put that into tiled view. So that's a ST terminal scratchpad. So what I'll do is just come across to my Xmonad configuration file. Got files. Xmonad config. So actually, first of all, what you do is find the variables. Okay, we set my terminal to equal ST, and the next section down here that I have is my scratch pads. So you can see this is the only thing we need to change. Born term equals my term plus plus, and for URXVT I was using dash name scratchpad, but for the ST terminal you have to use the dash n option. Basically what this does is it creates a window with a particular name, a particular title that you can find. So by default, when you open an ST terminal, it's just going to be called ST. You can find the name of the terminal using xprop. So if I put this in here, xprop, click that, you'll see name ST. If I what I'm going to do here is st-name example. So we're going to create a new ST terminal here, and you can see that's the one here. I'll run xprop again, xprop, select that. You'll see w3m class string equals example. So let me just close that. So that's basically what we're doing is we're creating a new terminal using the dash n option and calling it scratchpad. And once we do that, that's the only change that I've made from using URXVT to ST. And then once I've done that and restarted Xmonad, I now hit the keyboard shortcut key, which is meta control enter, and I get my drop down ST terminal. Whereas if I put this into tile view, I can just press the regular key and get lots of ST terminals here. So that's how I can get my ST terminal scratchpad working in Xmonad. And I say the issue was basically had to change that option from dash name scratchpad for URXV to just dash n. And that basically gets the ST terminal working both with the regular key or the scratchpad version. So that's Xmonad, and you can see here I'm using was it which key with Emacs, which is really nice. I have to cover that as well. Basically, when you sort of press a key combination, it comes up with a load of completions. So it makes remembering the keyboard combinations a lot easier. So yeah, so that was the ST terminal setup. Basically, we cloned the Git repository. Once we did that, we changed into the ST directory. We created a new branch, git checkout-b patch. We then edited the config.mk file and changed x11inc and x11lib to be user local include and user local lib. So that was an important change to make, get it working. And then we edited the config.def.h file to change the font. So I changed to Inconsolata, I think is how you pronounce it. And then importantly, change the shell. We can find out where the location of the shell is, where is DSH or bash. Again, I need to change that. So that was just because I was using, recently did a setup on FreeBSD and it uses user local bin for stuff, whereas on Linux it's user bin. So we changed it from bin sh to user bin zsh, so because the SC terminal has the shell that is going to use hard coded in the actual application. So that's an important change to make, because otherwise you'll be baffled why it's using not using your shell. And I say bin sh on Ubuntu and Linux generally is a symlink to the dash shell, whereas on FreeBSD it's actually the Bourne shell. So the other thing we changed was the mouse pointer. So we changed the mouse pointer so that it's a regular mouse pointer like this to xc_left_ptr. That's setting the mouse pointer. We then edited the color scheme. So that was basically me taking the code from the this particular patch and just manually adding it. And the w3m image support, we edited the x.c file, and it was just these two lines here. We added, this one's already there, the return is already there. We just added these two lines, and that basically, instead of cancelling the double buffer, it first copies the front buffer to the back buffer and and that's to get around the flickering issue with w3m and images. And after that, we created a desktop entry. So that's the desktop entry for the application launchers like Rofi. As I said, dmenu just works on the binary, so you don't need to set that up if you're using dmenu. But basically, we created a st.desktop file and copied it to local share applications in our home directory. And then we basically, after we've done all that, we checked out the master branch and then merged the patch branch back into master. And I've got some notes down here about how you can actually update ST and then keep the changes that you've made, that sort of thing. But that's basically the steps that we use to build the ST terminal with image support. So it doesn't take that long. It's quite easy process to do. And again, if you want to apply more patches or anything like that, you can do that. And this is just a general overview of some of the options that you kind of do need to change, like the shell and you know, some other stuff, and importantly adding the w3m image support so that we can basically have images working in the browser. So let me just go to howtogeek.com and just copy the URL of an article. I did that. This was the article I showed you before. Okay, so this is the article in Firefox, and of course we can hit reader view, get that. What we're going to do is just copy this URL, w3m, and you see by default this comes up with all these links up at the top, but I made a video just now about using the w3m browser and stripping content, stripping all the junk from the web page. So what I'm going to do now is hit the shortcut key, and you can see basically it removes all those annoying links that I'd have to scroll down, and it's coming up with all the images. So that's the article in w3m. This is the article in Firefox normally, and then in reader view. So let's compare the reader view here, reader view, Firefox, and the same sort of thing in w3m with the ST terminal. So you can see it makes it much easier to actually read when you've got the images, no flickering. Scroll back up and see they're not disappearing and being redrawn constantly. That works really well. And that's basically how to set up the ST terminal. And add w3m image support so that you can browse websites in the terminal and see images without flickering, and also what the issue with urxvt is, and the XFT fonts and the anti-aliasing causes an issue that redraws the screen and creates the flickering effect. And the only solution is to either disable anti-aliasing for the XFT fonts or use a bitmap font. I haven't tried using other browsers like GNOME or anything. You still get the same issue with GNOME, not drawing stuff properly with w3m. So this is a good solution to get images working in the browser. And one other thing I want to mention about the ST terminal that's really important is echo term. By default, in the configuration file, the ST terminal has a sort of variable that sets the term. So it's going to be called st-256 color. For example, if I open urxvt, echo, probably won't be able to see this. I need to change this back to a proper font. You can see it's saying RxVT. So the issue with this is when you SSH into another machine, they probably won't have a terminfo file for the ST terminal that describes how the key presses and everything work. So what happens is when you dial into another machine, you can get weird issues like you type ls, and what happens is it types the characters twice, so it'll type LLS or something, or you try and type exit and it'll type X, like it'll go X E double X I double T and all this kind of weird stuff. And it said the reason is because the machine you're dialing into doesn't have the terminfo file. Let me see if I can get this. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. See how as I'm typing LS here, I'm getting LS like this. Okay, so like when I type exit. Okay, so that's because that machine doesn't have the terminfo file for the ST terminal, and I covered this in a previous video. And there are several workarounds. You could change the ST terminal. Instead of it calling itself ST256 color, you could change how it's built, and call it xterm256 or something. But that's going to change how the terminal behaves. That if you change the variable in the ST build to something else other than ST256 color, you're going to get weird behavior with the terminal. You could also set a variable called term equals 256 color or something, but you're still going to get the same problem with it's going to change how the terminal behaves. So what you do fix this issue is you run tmux. Run tmux on your local machine, not on the machine you're dialing into. So I run tmux. Why is this now opening in? What happened there? Not sure what happened there. So I'm opening tmux here. Now if I run echo term, you see it's now identified as tmux 256 color, and I'm still getting the same issue. That's weird. Shouldn't be doing that. It should. It should work. Let me go back here and try that again. After all that, it's playing up again. I don't know why that is. I was doing it before and it was working fine. Echo tmux 256 color. Well, I have to look into that, but because that was working as a workaround, but for the issue. But there's also a problem with the ST terminal. If you come down to the FAQ, there's also an issue with the delete key. Why doesn't the delete key work in some programs? So what I found is when I was using tmux, the delete key wasn't working, and there's basically some fixes down here that I'll have to add to my ZSH configuration file to fix that issue. But that was just one issue I wanted to highlight. Is the term, the ST terminals term is ST256 color, and that's not recognized by a lot of machines. So the workaround is to use tmux on your local machine and then dial into the remote machine, and it will have a different term. It will be called tmux 256 color. You can also change it to screen 256 color, and the remote machine will then recognize all the key presses correctly. But for some reason, when I was doing the demo, it was playing up, so I'll have to have a look at that. But that was just something else to mention about the ST terminal, and you may be able to get image support working in other browsers, but they seem to require stuff like uberzug, which is like a Python thing you can set up. But I think the issue with uberzug is that it doesn't. You got to specify where it's going to draw the image. You kind of got to give it coordinates to like draw the image in the top left or something, which wouldn't really work because it's not going to be putting the images in the correct place in the article. But that's how you can build the ST terminal with support for w3 images, so that as I say, we can get images working and see if this one's got any images. I picked a why this isn't. Oh, there we go. There's an image. So as you can see, as I'm scrolling, you're going to get the scroll bar overwriting the image as you scroll. But apart from that, you're not getting any flickering. The images don't sort of suddenly disappear as you scroll, and you don't need to set up Uberzug or anything like that. It works perfectly. See, there's loads of images. I can carry on going. There's even more images, and as I sort of come down, you can see the images sort of appear. So there isn't too much weird behavior of how the images work, how they're drawn. So that's basically getting w3m images working in the ST terminal without any flickering. And as I said, there may be other browsers. I think Kitty is a browser that has image support, but I think you've got to run it with a special command or something like called kitten. You've got to run something like kitty.kittens, and then another command to get it to display images. Whereas we can just get the SD terminal to do the job out the box with 2 lines of configuration for the W3 image support here. Just these 2 lines will do the job and get it working, and you can get it built and create a desktop entry. And the other thing that I should mention is I've put the build I just showed you up on GitHub. So I just come across the repositories, ST terminal Ubuntu. That's the one. So this is the build. I just sort of draw what it was called. It was called draw something, wasn't it? Start draw. So if I come start draw, X start draw, you can see here's the code. So that's basically everything I've just shown you. I've uploaded here. And of course you can basically just come through and copy the bits of code, or I also made notes about this. The terminal ST, where's ST? Okay, ST terminal Ubuntu. So this is all the notes that I've been going through here in Emacs. Notes that I've been showing you, those are all the notes here, how to clone it, the files you need to edit, change the font, change the shell, change the mouse pointer, the solarized colors, the image support, how to create the desktop entry, creating a diff patch, applying a diff patch, merging the changes back into the master, doing a git update and keeping your changes, all that stuff. I'll put the link to this document and the link to the terminal repository under the video. So that's all for now, and that's basically some of the things to do with the SD terminal that I also wanted to cover, such as the term file, and also how you create a desktop entry for things like Grophy so that you can launch it, and how to set up Xmonad to use the ST terminal by default instead of URXVT, and how to create a ST terminal scratchpad. Got a drop down menu, a drop down terminal rather. And the change we needed to make was to use -n scratchpad, so ST-n scratchpad. is how we create the named window for the scratchpad, get it working with Xmonad. And so that's me switching from URXVT, which I've used for a long time, but issues with how it handled fonts and, the image support was just the last thing that really bugging me. It's good to get it working with the ST terminal, and I don't know if there are any other terminals that will let you actually fix this issue with the w3m browser and the flickering images. The only one I know how you can do is to say URXVT, but you've got to either use a shitty font or disable anti-aliasing. That's not really an option. So using ST solves those problems, quick and easy to build, and gets the job done.